ask you to go live with the meeting so that it can go live. And then it will be live. Dun, 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 dun. And then it's, yeah, there you go. So now it's live on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Hello, everybody. And mute there. All right. So your volume is good. Yes.
Yeah.
And what are everybody else's? Like half a dozen people. Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Alrighty. So what deck do you use?
I'm very, very new to tarot.
Okay.
I just got my first deck, which is the original, the classical. Remind me the name of the author, please. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Rider-Waite?
Yes, Rider-Waite Tarot.
I swear to God, I think I'm the only person in the whole world who has never owned one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my most favorite deck of cards. Why is she having issues getting in? That's bizarre. All right, so I'm just gonna turn on the TikTok noise and they can join us. There you go. Ah, you're late. Yeah, sorry. There we go. I didn't even put any of my jewelry on today either, so kind of what my husband calls naked. All right. So you said kind of new. How new is new, my dear?
100% new.
Oh, brand new, brand
new. Yes.
Alrighty. Well, hello, TikTok. All right. So we have TikTok live and we have YouTube live. And Mary is not back yet. All right. Now, what got you involved in tarot?
Curiosity.
Yeah.
And the visual and the psychological aspect of it. Like I was telling Mary, I don't know much. I'm curious about the history of tarot. I would love to learn more of the history. What got me curious is that I would like to work with my subconscious through tarot.
That's a very good use for tarot, actually.
Yeah, because to me, the way I see the tarot cards is as a tool that helps us answer the questions we already have the answers to deep down.
Yes.
So we kind of take them out of
our
subconscious.
And have you found them useful in connecting yourself in that way yet?
I haven't used them yet.
Oh.
I don't really know the significance yet. So yeah, like I said, I'm 100% brand new to tarot.
Right. Okay. Well, cool. I don't have a whole heck of a lot of people watching us on TikTok for odd reasons, and nobody's on YouTube. So welcome back, Mary.
Thank you.
You know what we could do? I'm surprised every bit that there's just the three of us, which is interesting.
It's just before Easter for a lot of people, so they're busy. It's Thursday, except for silly people like us.
Yeah, well, not being Christian, I wouldn't think of it. I broke my glasses, so if you're wondering why I was wearing a filter.
That's interesting. But
my husband's laughing at me.
Well, that's okay. He's allowed to.
Right,
that's his job.
All right. So
okay.
Okay, well, I don't have, I'm trying to see who all's here in the...
Okay, I'm going to ask Marina a question.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, Marina, do you have a card that you like or want to talk about?
A card.
Yeah, you're new to the game. So are there any particular pictures that drew your interest, or is there something that you want to ask?
The star
John
card comes to mind.
Which one?
Star.
The star.
Ooh,
okay, let's look at the star.
Okay, well, let's start with the star. Hi, Chelsea. Yeah, we're not doing readings right now. We're doing a tarot class. The cards will be read. We're about to take a look at the star card.
Looking at the star, do you have it in front of you?
I'm gonna get my deck.
Yeah, that's a useful thing, especially if you're talking about tarot.
If you have a tarot deck, you guys, that'll be very helpful to have handy.
Yeah, just for your information, Tina.
Yeah.
I opened up a deck I haven't played with in a while called here, 78. I don't know if you can see it.
78 Tarot of the 78 Doors. Oh, I've heard of that.
Okay, I am looking at it and I'm going, it's fascinating. He's got some things backwards, which kind of is interesting.
What do you mean backwards?
Well, in the swords, he has 8 and 9 reversed. The 8 is the dream one and the 9 is the trap one, which is kind of fascinating. I mean, that's the first thing I fell over. So I'm playing with those today. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
And I don't know. I didn't read the book yet. So I'm still trying to find, how do you call it? He also has justice and strength reversed, which is a normal reversal.
Todd does that.
Okay, so here's your 8 of swords.
Yeah, it looks more like a 9.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to play with it some. And here's the 9 of swords.
Looks more like an 8. Did he accidentally mix them up on when he sent?
I don't know. I mean, it's an old deck. And like I said, I have not read his book or his white book there. I just opened it again. I haven't played with it in a long time. I'm still looking for, there's the star in this deck.
So here's this is the star from the Toth deck.
Okay. And this is my star from the windows and doors.
So he took it literally in that deck. It looks like a movie star walking up the red line.
Do you see the differences, Marina, in how they're interpreted?
Or how they're painted?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay.
All the same card, right? So the cards, typically it's going to have the star physically represented. So I can't point at yours, right?
But there's water in all of them, right?
All of them.
Yeah. Why do you think there's water? What does water tell you psychologically or in any way?
John, if you have one,
Flow, flexibility.
Your jokes aren't landing. Sorry, dude.
Purity.
Okay. Do you understand? Like 90% of what you're going to be doing with the tarot is figuring out what it means to you along with what it means universally.
Hey, Teresa.
Okay.
Okay.
So
you're an artist. When you see water, first of all, there's the color of it, there's the feel of it, there's what is it kind of telling you? How do you feel about water?
I personally love water. It's my element, 100%. So
that's part of it.
I love water.
Okay. Often water will also represent emotions because they flow. Okay. So right away, you're looking at what is this card telling you in your headspace, in your own world. Look at your Rider-Waite star. What else do you see? What are the other elements you see in that card?
So there are 7 smaller stars and 1 big
Okay.
star.
Okay.
Hmm.
Does that tell you something about, like if you look at the actual stars in the sky, the real
Mhm.
ones, if
Mhm.
you look at the North Star, okay, major, how do you call it? The major bear, the big bear, I forget his name. Okay. You will you will look and you will see
Ursa
there are
Majora.
thank you. My
You're
my
welcome.
my Ukrainian doesn't my Ukrainian, listen to me, I'm really out to lunch. My Latin doesn't always come out, but how do you call it? The 7 stars are your basic towards the pole star. So it's where you're reaching, where you're going.
Mhm.
And then in English, there's also the little rhyme, starlight, star bright, the first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have the wish I wish tonight.
Is
So
that how she
that
came up
too.
with it?
No, I don't think he came up with it that way, but that's why we call it the wish card.
Uh,
Okay, it's an association between
Mhm.
those things. Also, the woman is totally naked on mine too,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So she's totally open to everything that comes her way.
Hmm.
She's going to jump in that water and go for it.
Hmm.
At least that's one interpretation. She could be petrified.
Ah.
It's too cold, and out she goes.
Maybe there's not enough water to jump into it on the top card.
Okay, not in this one either, but how do you call it? But I'm just saying, like, those
Yeah.
are interpretations
Sure.
of the star card.
Yeah. Whereas on Zach's, he's got her standing in the water, possibly because it's how he can do the reversal for the
That's
card.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
But on this is a reversals deck that's specifically painted so you can read it both ways. And he paints them in such a way that you really look at the card when it's upright, you're looking at the top part. He has exceptions to that. It's a cool deck. And when it's reversed, and he actually pictorialized the reversals. It is highly recommended, Marina, as a newbie to the tarot. It's easier to just start with the cards themselves and their own individual aspects, whether they're a positive card, what they mean when they're positive, whether they're negative, what they mean when they're negative, rather than worrying about whether or not they're reversed. Because a lot of decks like this Toth.
I'm sorry. What do you mean about positive and negative?
Okay, forget it's. You're getting too complicated, Tina. Slow down. Slow down. Okay, never mind that whole thing until much later. Okay, the whole point is right now.
Aspecting is key, guys.
Okay, right now, the whole point of getting in is to play with the actual pictures and to see how you feel about them. What is coming out, because one of the things Marina was saying, she's very interested in psychology. So, and if you're going to go that route, then you really need to look at the cards individually. The easiest way that most people recommend is take your deck every day, take one card out. Doesn't matter what the card is. Look at it, play with it, get to see what you want to see in it, write it up. It's called journaling. Put it in a journal of some kind. Okay. And then go about your day. Forget the card. Come back in the evening and see if anything in that card showed up during the day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry. Somebody just posted a message into the chat on TikTok. So
okay. Okay, no, I was just wondering where that came from. But anyway,
sorry. It certainly didn't come out of the star card. Sorry about that, guys.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying? You are an artist, Marina. You have many, many languages that you use to understand the aesthetics, to understand meaning, to understand other things.
Right.
Okay, so use that. I know that when I started to get really serious about learning the cards, I actually used a Russian deck based on the palier and the icons, because I understood it most. I understood that kind of art. And from
Yeah.
there, I went to the Rider-Waite. I've grown up in, how do you call it, in Canada. So I have a lot of knowledge of the regular English, French, and all the other stuff. So I've learned to compare them. And this is why I play with a lot of different decks, because to get a universal message from each card that works for each individual that actually does the reading means you have to have a variety of things.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like learning to speak English. You've had to go through how many different languages to get to the point where you can understand the nuance of the language. Well, it's the same with art. It's the same with tarot. It's the same with any oracle deck. Okay, so it's not to discourage you,
No,
but
it
to
does
give you.
sound like quite a
It's a lot of
journey,
fun.
but yeah,
it's
like
a lot of
fun
fun.
one, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
One of the reasons that Mary and I took to doing this was, Marina, is that in spite of the fact that both she and I have individually well over 40 years of learning to read these things on a daily, I gotta take them off because they're making me crazy. On a daily basis, they teach us new things all the time. What was it? I did a reading less than 2 weeks ago. I'd never seen a veterinarian in the cards. But expressive one pops up in the cards. Right now, I don't even remember which card it was. But I'd never seen that in all the years that I had been reading. Yeah, so there's always something new and something interesting to the cards themselves to teach you. And that's the one thing that my grandmother, who taught me to originally read, and I learned how with playing cards, imagine, her mantra was just read the cards, right? Yeah. The more you can become one with the energy that the cards are trying to tell you, the easier the energy will flow through you and create the words that need to come out of your lips for the reading. Now, if you're reading for somebody else, it's a very different language than if you're reading for yourself, usually, depending on the type of reading that you're doing. So introspective readings will have very, very different language than a reading about
projections or future or whatever.
The
You'll
relationship
notice,
between Joe and his sister-in-law. You know what I mean? Like there's two completely different conversations where in reading for somebody else, you have to figure out who the people are. In reading for yourself, you can feel instinctively who they are. You don't need to voice it. So
the other thing is too that we do have two very different styles. Tina reads one way and I read completely a different way. I'm very much a psychological, in your head kind of reader. I don't predict. I don't do, I mean, I try not to. I mean, you can predict up to a point, but I try not to do that kind of thing. Whereas Tina is very, this is what's happening. This is where it is. And, you know, you're going to meet this or this is that. It's two very different worlds of tarot. Which is another reason why the two of us are together, because we can fight over
work really
it.
well. One is a top down, one is top down and the other is bottom up in a sort of spiritual, psychological sort of way. And the key thing of that and the reason for Tarot Phenoms is really that there is no way that two of us can even speak with the same voice. Ergo,
That's right.
How could we possibly read with the same psychology?
That's right.
So the more we can practice our personal relationship with the cards with sharing a personal relationship with the cards with other people who are really into the cards, the more fun the cards become, right? At least that's the idea.
So what you're saying is that the interpretation is 100% individual and it can also change as you grow and develop as an individual.
Always, just like anything. You've taken pictures all your life. Are they the same as the ones when you started?
No, right? Your art, because literally it is. I mean, that's
right.
This is going to become a conversation with one part of your brain and another part of your brain based on what you're looking at on a piece of paper. It's not coming from these things. the power,
No.
the energy, the
No,
magic.
exactly.
It doesn't
And the
come
other
from
thing
the
is
paper.
too, as you mature as a human being through life,
Mhm.
you see things differently as well.
Right.
I mean, I know 10-year-olds that can read the cards, but they're not reading it with the same depth or the same understanding of the human psyche as, how do you call it, you would, or Tina would, or I would.
Right.
Our lives have changed many things and we see the world differently.
Mhm.
I tend to go very much towards the spirit and, how do you call it?
Hi.
You know, literally my Firebird
Hi,
really
Shay
comes
and
out
Autumn.
in many ways.
Hey,
Okay,
Aiden.
because of who I am, my background. And that's what I bring to the tarot. People who come to me come to see me because they want some kind of psychological depth rather than Tina's version. You know, I mean, I'm not saying
Different.
Tina, no, they're very different.
is
I mean,
very
some
different.
people want what Tina does. I watch with Tina and I'm amazed at some of the stuff that comes out because that's not how I see them.
No.
Okay, so
and I just read the cards. So one of the interesting things about tarot is that when you focus on each individual card as a tarot card, it has a
Mhm.
very specific meaning. And from one tarot deck, as long as it's true tarot, to the other tarot deck, they're all going to have the exact same meaning. An ace of swords is always going to be an ace
a
of
beginning,
swords.
yeah,
Okay.
a
So whether it
beginning
be
of something,
or
yeah.
Rider Waite like you're using, or this new funky deck that Mary's using. Let me see if I can pull the ace of swords out of here real quick. Or
The thing is,
Zach.
there is a numerological, how do you call it, language that goes through it.
Yep.
1 through 10 means the same thing. If you're at a 4 stage, you know where you are, unless you're doing, how do you call it, grades in through the Russian system. I never understood them. I never understood them. But I mean, I've had that too. But if you're going through basic, if you have 40 cents, you don't have $1.
Right.
And you don't have 0.
Right.
You have 40 cents.
Okay. You have 40 cents. It's
Ah.
somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
If you have 80 cents, you're closer to $1.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that language is there. And that's the way I tend to teach it. I teach it through the universal languages. These are
Mhm.
the basic points of tarot.
Yeah. And
You
I
have
use
the numbers, and then you have a set of, how do you call it, suits.
Yep.
Okay, you've got your swords and cups and all the rest of it. We were talking about water. Water is usually your cups because they're held in a receptacle.
Mhm.
Okay, then these are basics. The actual major arcana, the 22 ones that are usually either with a Roman numeral or whatever, those have a separate meaning in many ways because they are more, again, universal, but they fit in the numbers. They fit in a lot of other things. So if you know what they call the pips,
Cool.
the playing cards,
The
Mhm.
playing
then
cards. Yeah. But
yeah, then
the
you go on.
the cycles are the same though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
The 1 through 10 repeats in the
exactly.
higher arcana.
And that's part of the history. Okay, so if I was going to teach it, I would sit down and give it to you in basic points rather than jumping all over and
Mhm.
driving your head insane. And she's going,
And
"What
I
is she
use
talking
this.
about?"
And
Yeah,
I
but
use
that's
What is
that's
that?
late. That's later,
Mhm.
Tina. That's later.
This
That
is
would
what I
be
use. This is
yeah.
this is the tarot in an easy little thing to look at. Reversals on the other side. But this little table all by itself tells you exactly
That's
what
for
your
those
card
that are there.
means
Yeah.
when you haven't managed to memorize what the card means yet. This
Okay.
is what they call the Sephiroth, the tree of life. And each of the tarot cards is represented at some point on that tree.
How do you spell that? Separate?
Sephiroth.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's
I'll
from
look it up.
the Jewish Kabbalah.
Mhm.
just to let you know if you're interested in that.
I won't even go to calling it specifically Jewish.
No, but it's from
Nothing
there.
Jewish about what
That's
I'm
the
doing.
word. That's the
Well,
word.
it may be where it came from, but
We're
I got
interested
it
in
from a
history, Tina.
Freemason. I don't know that this scumbag was Jewish. I do know
No,
that he was
no, he
wicked.
wasn't, but he used it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But he
as you
used
can
it
see, there's
because
a
he
lot
was
of
a
history
Freemason.
involved.
Anyway, the history, you want to know the history of tarot. Robert Place and Mary
Okay.
Kay Greer are your two best friends, because there are no two people alive on this planet nor dead who could tell you more about the reality of this. And I'll tell you what, this is really, really recommended reading. It's probably
Yeah.
backwards on your screen.
No, it's
No, I
right.
see it fine. Yeah.
Is it visually correct?
Yeah.
Because it's backwards on TikTok. It's backwards, you guys. But this is. You want to know the history?
Oh boy.
Yeah. No. I
This
wouldn't
is
suggest this
This
at
is
this
just
point.
a starting point. When you get to the point when you're working on the details, I go everywhere except for individual books at this point, right? I will take Robert's words out of here and I'll send him a text and go, what the hell do you mean by this? Because it sounds like that and that. And it's
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people, if you're going to start,
take advantage of all of the people that you know, though, right?
Yeah, but if you're starting off, you want to start in small steps and take it easy. And
I would start
appetizers.
visually.
Yeah,
Mhm.
appetizers. And this is why I'm saying do the daily reading.
Start with the
okay, and play with that. And I would also suggest in your journal to have sort of like maybe 2 pages or whatever, depending on how you want to work. And if you do it on the computer, it's easy enough. You have the picture of your card. You can look at the basic description anywhere if you want to, because you'll also end up figuring it out without going to it. You can go back afterwards, like at the end of the day, and say, okay, this is what I see. Is this what is real according to the basics? Okay. I mean, if you look at things like the tower, you see something falling off and whatever. So you can sort of get the idea. Yeah, you can go into details. You can go into a lot of things. But this is what kills a lot of people, is too many details.
Right.
Okay. So if you're learning something and trying to make it your own, then you really need to, make it your own. You know, you look at it, you understand the language of art, you understand a lot of things already. Use that knowledge. And then, so you have the picture, you have the basic description, you have your day. And I would put a third part there, the questions I have about this card. What questions would you like to have answered? How would you like to have it answered? What's wrong with the card? Why don't you like it? What happened? You know, like your reactions. Because then when we meet again, or you can text either one of us or whatever, you know, send us a message through Facebook, whatever you want, we can help you answer that. And this is where, you know, like having a real live meeting works better, because there are 3 or 4 people. We see things differently. We can look at the actual card. We can play with it.
Yeah.
You know, I've done many workshops where that's how I play, but very definitely. Yeah. Also, I play it very, very basic until you sort of get your feet going. And then as your questions come, you will get more answers, and you will also get more questions.
Yeah.
You know,
questions never end. That's for
no,
sure.
but that's the whole point. This is a lifelong learning experience.
Ideally.
You know, and
Find
I mean,
the meaning.
yeah. And the whole point is, as you play with people, as you play with the cards, as you see things, you see, like Tina and I see things differently, but that's okay, because Tina has helped me see things in a different way in my world, in my way of thinking about the tarot.
Mhm.
I don't have to do the way Tina does it.
I don't
Nor
think you
does she
could.
do nor does she do it the way I do it.
Well, you
But
can't
we
because
grow.
right. So at the very beginning, we all start. It's a very cohesive beginning, right? You're going to pick up one card every morning, and you're going to become personally acquainted with that card. It's going to take you about, I think Crowley had it at just over 2.5 years. All right.
But I would also suggest
I
there
know it
is-
sounds like forever, but it's no, but in the meantime, you're going to learn what the cycles are. By the end of, matter of fact, if I could show you I could show you the cycles in about 5 minutes, and you could actually get an idea of how they work quite simply.
Mhm.
Do you know any numerology at all?
No.
All right. You
well,
you,
like I remember
the
I talked
easiest
about
thing
them,
is-
the numbers of the sense.
Yes.
Okay. 0 means what? 0 does not have any kind of meaning because it's outside the number system anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. So it
So
is
0 is
so
out.
the
Mhm.
zero, the concept of zero mathematically means the absence of anything. So it's not like there's
It's a
something in-
placeholder.
It's a complete space holder,
That's an
period.
interesting
It
way to
exists
look
at it.
exactly. What's that?
Placeholder.
Okay.
I said it's a very interesting way to look at it as a placeholder.
But that's what it
On-
is in math. You look at
Mhm.
math, 10. You go from the units to the tens. And you have no units because then you have a 1. It becomes 11, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with 100. It's the same with 1,000. It's the same anywhere where you do math. It's like that.
Mhm.
So the 0 concept means it's nothing and everything. The alpha and omega, as they would say, or the, how do you call it in physics, the quantum field.
Okay.
It's a potentiality of something.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And oh, here, that was the other book that I found super, super helpful with reading tarot.
Okay. Too esoteric, my dear. We got to come down.
I will
come
mess
down,
you
come
up.
down, come down, come down. No, no, no. You don't want to mess beginners up. You want to mess intermediates up. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm not there yet.
no.
You
So
will be one day.
so
one
you
day.
have numbers from 1 through 9. Those are your basic universal numbers. 1 is the beginning.
Mhm.
9 is the end. And then you
Mhm.
have a 10 with a 1 as a beginning and a potentiality. 0 is the
Right.
potentiality. So whenever you get to the place where the cycle changes, 1, 20, 30, 100, you're changing and adding potential.
So the
Mhm.
a new cycle is either just ending or about to begin, depending
Okay,
on
so yeah,
where
that's
the
the whole
energy
point.
feels, right?
Okay. So this is where your 10s are in your actual thing. So apart from the daily journal, what I really would suggest you do is take what we call the pips. In other words, not the ones with the, how do you call it, the Roman numerals, but the swords, the, how do you call it, the wands, the
The
cups,
cups.
and the pentacles.
Yeah.
Put them out from 1 through 10 across. So you have one line of cups from 1 through 10. You have one line of swords from 1 through 10. Look at the story
Mhm.
from 1 through 10 across that particular line.
Mhm.
If you want to
And
get
then
really
compare. And
Yeah.
then
So you're
compare
saying
the
they're
ones.
all connected.
Of course
Yes.
they are.
At the 0.
From 1 to 10.
They're
That's
all
right.
connected at the 0. So from the 0, you can have either one of the aces coming as the potentiality. And
Mhm.
each of those cards actually represents a life
Okay.
element.
Okay. Too
Right?
much.
So
Too much information.
I realize that, but it's
No, but
it's what it is.
I'm
The
trying to make
energy
Yeah,
it
is
but
as
one.
it's good
simple
to
as
know.
possible to start. You ask the questions and we will feed you.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
Way too
Okay.
much
But
information.
what I'm really suggesting right now is you look at the 1 through 10, you
Mhm.
set them up so that you can see the same 1, the same 2, the same 3. So you're learning the language.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then ask the questions. Don't even bother with the little white book. Ask the questions when you've seen that. Do it for yourself. Okay. So like that's your homework this week.
There you go.
So-
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
so you're
do that.
suggesting to start with the individual meaning.
I'm suggesting you
No.
look at the total story.
Yeah, and see what it represents to me, as opposed to reading a book or
A
looking
book
up a
will kill
video
you, just
on
like Tina
tarot.
will kill you with all her information.
Oh yeah, no, I could information you to death. What you want to do is
You need to look at it. If you're looking at a picture of an unknown artist,
Mhm.
you have to learn their language. You then get to the technique after you've seen something in there that asks you what, that you're going, well, how did he do that? And then you go into the technique. You go into the actual thing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can create a visual for you. This is much easier to do if we're sitting at the same table in the same room, but COVID isn't ready for that yet. Bear with me.
Okay.
I might not have them all. Give me a second.
So basically, this is the whole thing. Get to the point where you feel and you hear your artistic side of you come through, because that's how you're going to learn the cards. I'm more mathematical and scientifically based.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I will actually look at systems.
Mhm.
So I'm giving you the 2 options right now to look at it. When you look at the scientific, if you want the system 1 through 10, you're also looking at the artistic side of it. How did 1 become 10? What was the journey through that particular suit
Mhm.
from a potential to a realignment and restarting?
All right, let me see if I can quick walk you
Gotcha.
through what Mary's trying to describe. All right. So what I've done is, I think I've got them all. I've pulled the pentacles. So automatically, the first thing that you want to do, in spite of what any of the numbers are, is memorize what those 4 suits represent.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
representing
But
water.
you'll figure that out very quickly just by
Well,
looking
yes,
at the
but-
story. So, again, part of learning is also asking questions.
Yes, but if I'm
So-
showing a pentacles and you start thinking from an emotional standpoint, you're already on the wrong track.
Yeah, but I don't think Marina will.
So watch the way the story unfolds. So because it's pentacles, it's something physical or it's something financial. All right.
Something material.
Yeah.
Something material, absolutely. Right. Okay.
You're
So
doing something.
right. So you're gonna
Mhm.
walk through, they're gonna be laid out 1 through across the table like that, the way that Mary's described it. I lay them in a star. So they start, the Fool is in the middle and the Ace of Pentacles, 2, 3 go down from there.
Mhm.
And then the cups go,
but-
anyway, I do them in a star. But so the ace, this is the seed of, so I just got offered a job. I just met my new boss. Not sure what I think about it. Looks like a ton of work. Holy crap, I wasn't kidding. Look at the work I gotta do. All right, okay, I'm getting used to this stuff. This is, yeah, I can handle this. This is pretty good. This is pretty, holy crap, what the hell is that? Oh, okay, all right, I gotta put it out a little more. All right, I get that. I got it. Okay, this is pretty cool. That's handy. Holy, you didn't tell me about that. How do I, what? Oh, I get it. Okay, all right, a little more work. Okay, I get it. This is okay. All right, this is going. This is working. Look at all the money starting to come in. Oh man, this is working. This is working. What do you mean it's over? What? I got to start all over again? Oh shit. That's your
New
cycle,
job, COVID happened, whatever.
right?
Okay,
So
so you get the story.
You feel
This
the
is whole
cycle?
point.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
bigger and bigger until it completes. The funny thing is that with wands and swords, because they're going up and out, they actually are sort of contracting as they grow instead of the opposite. And that's
Mhm.
kind of hard to explain until you get into the physics sort of aspect of it and realize that two are going up and out and two are going in and down.
You know, that's another thing.
And
What I would
that's a whole
suggest is you
other,
look,
yeah, I'll
you,
mess you up
yeah.
with details.
Also, if you look at them, you can look at psychologically, you know, what they represent, you know, swords and wands, depending on where your psychology is and what you learned about, you know, phallic symbols and whatever else too. You
Yeah.
have all that gets played in there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's
So-
speed of movement too. So
Yeah.
like
So
pentacles are really
basically
slow
right
and
now,
cold.
just play with it. Just play with it. Too many questions, too many things have gotten through your head. We've talked about far too much for you.
Start with this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it does seem a bit overwhelming,
Oh, I'll
But
but
it's-
very, very exciting.
I'll tell you what, this is why reading those books that are on the market on how to read tarot, and I've got a gazillion as well, are going to confuse you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is why I start and say, look at it yourself, play with it yourself. You've got the basic deck. If we were together, you'd be able to look at 3 or 4 decks and see which ones
more.
work more interestingly than the basic one. The Rider
Mhm.
Waite is very Christian, very, how do you call it,
Oh.
early 1900s, which is where it was actually written. So it's got a particular thing, but the tarot itself, the best we can come back to, it appeared around the 1350s
Mhm.
in the Middle Ages for certain reasons. And it was based on a morality play, or if you want, a procession at a particular point in time that showed the life of a Christian from nothing to going up to God. Okay, so that's the very basic
Where did
information.
they appear?
Well,
Like,
this is the
around
whole
which
thing.
I
country?
don't know.
Now, nobody
Right.
knows. These
No.
are so unique. I mean, if you read a lot of the history, they came from the gypsies, they came from Egypt, they came from here, they came from there. Nobody knows. Okay,
Mhm.
this is
How
the
interesting.
this is the most fascinating question mark in life that I've ever seen. There are no other documents that are so universal in a way. And what's amazing too is how it changed its perspective from
Mhm.
being totally a predictive thing, which was fun in the 1800s, because that's when they were starting to play with a lot of this stuff, 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s. But around the time the Rider Waite deck started to become very popular was also the time Sigmund Freud was starting to become popular in his idea of psychoanalysis, and through him, Carl Jung.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there is that other belief in tarot that's become very psychological. Carl Jung was
They've
yeah, Carl.
actually included a psychiatry day tagged on to the Reader's Studio in New York. It's become so
Yeah.
mainstream in that field.
It's
Fascinating.
a lot of practitioners in the health, psychology, psychiatry, not so much, but psychology definitely do use tarot for
Mhm.
self-development and things like that. So yes, it's become
Even
that. But
Rorschach tests.
yeah, well, there's also Carl Jung is the one that gave the word synchronicity, collective unconscious, and he was trying to describe how tarot really worked on a psychological level.
Tarot specifically, or
Yeah.
any metaphorical cards?
No, tarot more than any of the others. Okay. He was a tarot practitioner. So was Sigmund Freud.
Mhm.
Okay.
Who's Jimmy
So-
Page, by the way?
So, so there's a lot of interesting history that you have to sort of glean from here and glean from there and look at this. I've obviously done a lot of research in the whole thing, and I'm fascinated by how it appeared. I'm still fascinated by the fact that nobody knows the actual point of tarot, but I've seen it through history change from being, well, it was originally a game,
Mhm.
but then so are playing cards a game that people have used for certain ways. In the 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s, people didn't move around a lot. They lived a particular life in the same place. They stayed in their village and whatever. So prediction was easier because you only had so many options. Are you going to marry the baker's son or the, how do you call it, the fisherman's son? Like there aren't that many choices. So you had a lot of fortune telling games.
Mhm.
And this is where part of this came from. And you have the whole story of the gypsies, whatever you want to call them nowadays. That's not a proper term. I know they're the Roma or the Romani. There are 500 different ways of saying it. But the point is that these wanderers would come through town and try to make money. And of course, that's where the bad name of fortune telling came in. Because they were not, I think they were even lower than the Jewish people living in the Middle Ages in certain towns because they had no place. They wandered. And in many places in Europe, there's still that negative aspect to them. Okay.
Yeah.
But tarot did not come from them. They never really used tarot, which is the most fascinating thing. They used playing cards. They used many other ways of telling the future because it was easy. You come into a town, and the girl is going to come in and going to ask you a question. Well, if you're intuitive, you'd be able to answer it by the way she was asking the question. They were very good at that. And people like that who can sort of almost predict what's going to happen because they can hear in your voice, they can see things.
They can read people.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tarot got messed up in this sort of thing, but it's not really that.
Mm-hmm.
I collect tarot cards because they're beautiful artwork.
Oh, they are.
They
and
you
definitely are.
You have like 5,000 different decks for Pete's sakes in just tarot.
Marina, check this one out. I haven't done a lot of reading with. I used this one. Remember on Halloween?
Mm-hmm.
Check the artwork on this freaking deck.
Oh my God, Mexican. I love Mexico. And
well, this is the whole thing. If unfortunately, there aren't that many, how do you call it, metaphysical stores in Montreal, or there are not that many left in Montreal anymore. And what they sell are the basics that you're going to see. If you have a chance to go to Ottawa, there is a good store there that I use a lot.
I do go to Ottawa. Why don't you?
Okay, if you go to Ottawa on, I believe it's Main, the name of the store is Singing Pebbles, is just opposite St. Paul's University.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have a lot of interesting things in there. They're sort of not really new agey, but a bit of everything. They have a fair amount of decks, not as many as I have, by the way. One day you'll have to come over to my place. Okay, I don't know. I must have over 100. So
you have definitely got more than I have, but I have quite a few.
Yeah, there are so many gorgeous decks.
That's the whole point. And every time
I couldn't choose which one I wanted to work with, so I decided to get the basic, the classical one.
But you know what? As you play with others, as you see others, you'll find things attract you, but they don't always attract you.
Mm-hmm.
I find that some of the decks that I got attracted to now don't talk to me anymore.
Oh, that's weird. I've never had a deck talk to me and then stop talking to me.
No, it's just that, how do you call it? It doesn't meet the needs of what I do at the level I'm at anymore. I have a deck, you like art, that might interest you. Excuse me as I get caught.
Go for it. Yeah, one of the things that I like, that's it. The only rule I have for a new tarot deck is that it be a true tarot deck. That's a fun deck. I'd love to read with that one soon.
It's cute. Cartoon tarot.
Right. So and there's 100,000 different ones. Matter of fact, who was it? Blew me away. Just not 2 months ago, released 2 decks on the same day. She said it wasn't planned that way, but the second deck got delayed or The
Yeah,
first
well,
deck
there's
got
that.
delayed
Yeah.
because of COVID, and then the two ended up accidentally getting released on the same day. So I got a kick out of that.
And
But
then there are decks that are so how do you call it? Not necessarily esoteric, but really deep beyond all things. So, you know, like it really depends where
Like
you want to go.
symbolically.
More than symbolically, I'm thinking of Benebel Wen, whose decks are really full of esoteric knowledge and whatever. You really have to actually know what she's talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
she really talks about, she really uses the that Liberty talk tarot
Yeah.
background that I
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
originally.
But she also is very, between her Taoist background, and she right now is reworking the Itella tarot.
Mhm.
Okay.
Somebody has to. That thing is hideous.
Yeah, but you know, like there are people who are so involved and so deep in there that once you start opening up, you know, like you're going, oh, I'm drowning, which is why I'm not suggesting you read any of the blogs or anything else. But if you're interested, there are a few really good ones that are fairly easy. The other
Mhm.
thing I would suggest, if you have a chance, is to find the Color Your Tarot by Teresa Reed. So
Color Your Tarot.
yeah, basically it's there are a few other coloring books that are just
Oh.
basically how do you call it, the tarot, the universal Rider-Waite tarot, and you color it according to whatever. So it helps you learn the colors, and it helps you learn a little more of the actual nitty-gritty specific little things that you might not have seen. That might work, that might not work. I'm not a, how do you call it, a fan of doing that kind of thing. So I see things differently, but it's something that might work for you.
Yeah, definitely something to try.
I know at one point the chapters had it. Of course, they're not called chapters anymore. They're called Indigo, the one in Point Claire. But you can check online
Mhm.
and see if they have it. You can also
Oh
check.
yeah, you can find anything online now.
Yeah, but the point is to look at it physically.
True.
You know, like, you know, I mean, you can find anything online, but you get pretty disappointed with some of the stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, but again, work with the knowledge you already have.
Mhm.
It's not a difficult thing. It's a growing thing. You know, when you learn to swim, you learn to float first, and you learn not to be afraid of the water. You learn to get your knees wet. You learn to breathe and blow bubbles under the
That's
thing.
always a process.
And, you know, and this is where you're starting. Then you will learn to swim.
Yeah, I agree. Because right now, I guess I can see a lot of things intuitively.
That's right.
Whereas if I gather all that knowledge, then my intuitive failure
Yeah,
is
you'll
just
block
gonna be
parts of it
gone,
out.
and
Yeah.
I'll be confused.
Because you're going to be second guessing yourself all the time.
Right.
Typical
Yeah.
sword.
Exactly. The benefit of making sure that the deck that you're starting with and you have, which is the Rider-Waite, is that the pictures that the card is presenting you to learn as you're going through this intuitive cycle are true tarot. So you're going to see what is meant to be shown on a true tarot card. So you're going to learn it, whether it be a Thoth or
yeah, exactly.
Well, not that one. These are, most of my cards are almost all of my cards are Golden Dawn based, just because I like my fire is wands and air is swords. So I don't know what it's got on your deck. How do you read them?
Yeah. No, it's wands and swords are exactly the same. Fire and mind.
Right. If you pick up a deck, Mary, because this is an interesting question. I've never asked anybody, but it makes me curious. If you pick up a deck and it has been painted with the wands as air and the swords as fire, do you still
doesn't work?
Do you reverse them in your mind?
I try not to use them because it screams at me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you learn something,
fire is fire, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When I learn something, I tend to use what I've learned, and everything I add onto it is based on that. So if a tree is a tree and you present it as a tree, you're not going to turn it into a bush. You're not going to turn it into grass.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So it's the same thing. Decide how your intuition works and work with that. I work with a pendulum, and I know I do things backwards according to most people with their pendulums. Well, you know what? I can't change it because that's the way my intuition works. My subconscious says left and right is this, up and down is that, whereas everybody else does it backwards. You know, so I mean, you got to learn. I'm a lefty to begin with. I'm left-handed, in spite of the fact that they made and forced me to write with my right hand and do a few other things. I'm finding as I'm getting at the nice age where I don't care anymore what people say, I tend to go back to my left hand. So already I see the world differently because
Right.
I'm a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the point. You have to know yourself.
Right.
You know, we call it, what is it? Neurologically diverse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, never mind all the other names we have for people that don't think the same way. But the point is, I've never thought the same way as most humans. 4% of the population when I was born was left-handed, and they forced us to try to be right-handed. Yeah. Now they allow kids to be whatever handed, and now they don't know what handed they are. In other words, they never know what they're doing, and their body doesn't react the same way either. You know, there's a psychology involved in there. If you're wired a certain way, that's your psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, you know, I mean, I don't care what the teachers used to say, because I couldn't change that. It's the same with everything else. So it's the same thing. You know yourself well enough. You already know a lot about yourself. You know a fair amount about the humans around you. You've seen hell and back again in many ways. Use that knowledge because it's there. And the tarot will help.
Trust yourself. No, I think that's the choicest piece of advice for reading cards. If you can't, you really need to be able to trust your feeling, what you feel when you look at that card is going to be key to the reading, because especially if you're reading for yourself and it's an introspection issue, you're going to be looking at the card and you're going to feel, maybe you're going to feel slapped. And rather than kind of look at the card and say, oh, well, it doesn't say anything about what I just felt there. When specifically using it for introspection, you want to you want to chase those feelings down and go, ooh, what the hell made me feel that? Because that's not what the card means. And the more able you are to pull that energy out of yourself while you're learning and reading these cards, the more magical, like Mary says, I see shit in these cards that really are not painted on the cards. I see stuff in the space. Like I'll look at these two cards and I will see stuff at the space between the two. Let me show you up close. All right. Right. So I'll look at, this is, what am I looking at? Make sure I'm reading them. I've got a 4 of Cups and a 7 of Cups. So the 4 of Cups, what's missing between the 2 cups is the 3 of Cups. Right. And what is the 3 of Cups? Right. So there's what it's like, what's missing, what's in the space between the two,
but you already have to know the story.
It helps if you know what they are, but I can look at the two and know, okay, they're the same suit. Right. So they're both working from an aspect of water. One is bigger than the other. So one is balanced, one is odd. So one is stable and the other is unstable. See that?
So why is it unstable? Why is it
unstable? Well, I'm not sure. This is a super, I don't think there's a more stable. This is the most solid card in the deck, if you ask me. This is the card. When I read politics, and I don't recommend starting with that, okay?
No, you have to.
I wouldn't.
The universe will tell you shit, and you'll kind of go, "How is that possible?" But the universe, politics do not exist to the cards. So you're reading energies that don't exist. It's really quite, and the cards will laugh at you if you get the politics wrong. Whereas they will tell you where you got it wrong if you get it wrong and you're actually reading legitimately for somebody. Anyway, it's quite bizarre. But you get you can feel the difference of stability between the two, right? And the more you can feel, if you can look at a picture and see something and it jumps out of you, and you, like, for example, on the Fool card, there's a puppy dog, and on some it's painted as a fish, and sometimes it's another critter. But when you look at the cards and once you're used to looking at them and used to seeing all the different aspects of whoever it is painted into the image, sometimes something will just kind of flash at you or jump out at you. And that's really what you're looking for. You really want to look at the card itself and feel legitimately. I think we agree on the feeling. Yes, Mary?
Yeah.
You want to feel the message that the universe chose that card to have you feel, because that's what you're doing. This is legitimately an exercise in feeling your way through the meanings of the cards. Right?
Another way of looking at readings as well, and people have asked me, how do I do my readings? I cannot say I go through Tina's process. When I'm in the zone, I honestly don't know what I'm saying.
No, neither do I.
It comes out.
Yep.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't have all that feeling aspect of it or anything else. I am very much a person that knows stuff. So all of a sudden, a story will come out, something will come out that'll explain that card to that person.
Right. Whereas my same stories, same exact result, except mine comes from an emotional feeling place.
I don't have that emotional thing.
You're not allowed to go into your head when I'm doing a tarot reading, because now you're out of alignment with the universe and things are not going to work properly.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I'm in alignment when I'm in my head a certain way. But again, it's what they call the zone, when you're totally out and you're just downloading it.
Right. And I like to tell people, do you know how to get into your zone, Marina? Can you get into your zone like that?
I'm afraid I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's
Some also
the thing.
call it channeling, I think.
Well, that's just the
maybe.
words. Here's the thing. When you're doing your art, are you thinking about every single place where that brush is going?
No.
You're in the zone.
That's the zone.
You're channeling the art that's coming out. Same with photography.
You could call it channeling. Channeling would give it an intellectual being.
I don't like the word channeling.
Whereas I believe that we are dealing with energy, pure. Simple. And I mean that from a quantum physics scientific standpoint.
That's right.
If when you're open, it ain't.
You can feel energies coming in. I'm beginning to actually see energy waves, which is really weird. I never was able to do that before. So, it's just, it happens.
Yeah.
Try not to question it with your mind.
That's where hard. That is so hard for me.
Yeah,
I'm a thinker.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Marina, you're an artist.
Right.
You don't think when you're painting.
Right. So that's how you want to read your cards. Read your cards.
Exactly. This is why I keep going back.
That you paint from. And that I'll tell you right up front, being able to get into that space.
That's where you
whether it be for the cards, whether it be for the painting, whether it be doing your
for anything,
shopping.
When you're running, do you run?
Yes.
There.
When you're running, are you thinking?
If
you have these things on,
but not about running.
No, but that's the whole point. If you have these things on, you are playing and distracting your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're running without thinking or swimming or swimming or anything else, without any other things, then you are in a way meditating.
Yes.
And that meditating
I do find it very meditative.
Yeah, it is your intern. It is your way you get in. It is your zone. You understand? We have 1,000 different words for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So never mind the words. As
See
Tina
it.
would say, feel it.
Feel it and
Whichever
be it.
way you go.
Become
That
one
makes sense.
with that energetic space, because really that's the goal of the cards at the end of the day.
That's
If
right.
you're going to pick these up and do any kind of, you don't even need the cards. All you need to do is get into that space, right? That feeling you get when you work with a brush and paint, yeah?
Mhm. Yeah,
So that
sometimes.
feeling that you get when you dip the brush into the paint just before you go to your canvas or whatever medium you're working with, right? That moment, right? That is where you want to live all day, every day. And the cards show you how to take the quantum physics themselves and create that. And I use the cards to create that when I can't do it without the cards.
Mhm.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I can do it without the cards. Today I couldn't.
No, but you've got other things. And Marina,
when I
out
heard
of
a bang, I'm going to take that opportunity to go back into my head. I got to go deal with this bank thing,
Yeah.
which is not resolving itself.
Okay.
And hopefully get that resolved, because I can't sell a tarot card. I can't sell a tarot reading without it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
I'll let you guys enjoy. I'm going to leave this on and open, and just shut it out when you leave. Alrighty.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tina.
Enjoy. Well,
It's
we'll see you
been
guys
super
in. We'll
informative.
see you
Wednesday,
Wednesday next week.
12 to 2.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
All
That's
right,
what it
we will
is.
See you then. Sign.
Okay. So here's a book that you might like.
What's
trying
in
to
the
see it.
cards for you?
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
I'm not sure if it's still published, but this one is fascinating because it actually gives you experiments to play with, not knowing anything about the cards. He has a fascinating way of looking at things. He had a deck that unfortunately was crappy art, but was really good. It was a really good idea to look at. It was one of the first that were not exactly right, the typical Rider Waite. It was more modernistic. So I found his book is good, and he's worth looking at. Very practical, very normal thinking. He's a businessman originally. Okay, so he writes more practicality and things like that. So if you get a chance, have a look at it. I'm not sure, like I said.
Good to stay grounded when it comes to those things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he deals, just to let you know, how do you call it? Getting started, okay, what it is and all the rest of it. Making predictions, then gives you 5 or 6 different exercises. Testing the tarot. Different things. And then what happens next? Which one worked better for you? How did it work? First decks for beginners of the time. Unfortunately, there are a gazillion more than he recommends then. Just trying to think. Okay, 2005 was the first edition, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but this was when tarot started becoming mainstream. There are a lot of people who actually use tarot ideas because it's creative for business. Okay. So, I mean, I'd like to get back into that field. A friend of mine was doing it for a while, but again, with COVID and everything else, God only knows what happens, right? Yeah. But very definitely, I use it to help creative people continue their creativity. There were actually musicians that wrote, I forget who it was. It wasn't Philip Glass, but somebody wrote a whole thing based on the pictures he saw with the tarot. As the pictures came out. There are people who write stories using tarot. What's going to happen next with my protagonist or whatever. So there are many applications.
To bring the ideas out.
Yeah. That's basically part of the whole reason of understanding the picture. I've done it with people who I say, okay, because I don't use the normal Rider-Waite deck. I use other ones. I would, I tend to pick the deck that would work for the person coming in to a great degree. That's the
Mhm.
beauty of having so many decks. And, you know, depending on what they're looking for, I would say, okay, look at this picture. Where's it going to go next? What story can you tell? How do you go from point A to point B? How did it get to this place? What do you think the end will be? You pick the card, and let's see what the end will be. How do you see the end? You know,
So you
so I
let
mean,
them interpret
well, I
the
call it
images,
more
the
of a
pictures.
dialogue.
Okay.
Like in the French use the term tarologue for tarot reader, which I prefer to cartomancienne or any of the others, because
Mhm.
there's the word dialogue in there.
Hmm.
Okay. And to me, it's very much a dialogue between your intuition, what I know about the cards, and what we see together. And the cards tell us something.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I'm very different. Tina likes to bring it all out, you know, which is fine. I mean, people like that too. But I'm much more of an intuitive person. Like I said, I feel things from people, and I will, okay, you said this, but here, what does the card tell you? How does that work with you? You know, did you notice X? Did you notice the little dog? What was the little dog doing?
Yeah, you have to resonate with your reader, I guess.
You have to resonate with a lot of things. I mean, look, you've gone to doctors, you've gone to teachers, you've gone to many things. Some people work for you and some people
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean.
You know, and at the very end, it is very psychological. It's a
Yeah.
people-people relationship. You know, so this is what you're looking at. You know, how do people work with that? I know out here where I am now, a lot of people that we did some live readings, what do you call it, just before Christmas, and there'd be a lot of people coming in and looking at me like this, you know, like devil's item, because they're of a certain age, of a certain culture where this was considered taboo.
Hmm.
And even going to a psychologist would still be taboo for them. Diversity does not exist in their world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so this
We
is what
all
we're
live in the
dealing with.
same world, but at the same time in very different realities.
Well, the reality is your reality and my reality are very different to begin with.
Yeah.
What we see with our eyes are different. My husband is colorblind. I see things like in 64,000 different colors. Okay, so we have a very different thing. You are an artist. You see things differently from me, who is more of scientific based. Just that kind of thing alone makes our realities different. And when you share your life with someone else, you notice how realities are very different. Never mind the words we speak that we don't understand, or the things we see that we don't see. You know, I tend to see birds and bees and trees and things, even when I'm driving. Drives everybody crazy. How did you see that? Well, I don't know. I saw it, you know, and yet they never saw it. So it really depends on, you know, your perception of what it is.
Right.
Did you ever see the movie The Matrix?
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Okay, well, think about it. Everybody's idea is different, right?
For sure.
And that's the whole point. So what you
It's
see
the
in the
beauty of
tarot,
it.
yeah, you know, what you see in the tarot will be what will help you most. And then you know, afterwards you get interested, and then you go and look at it and you go, well, what is the official terminology for this particular thing, or what did they really mean? No, they didn't really mean anything. You know, it's again how you think of it. The history will tell you, you know, like if you look at, first of all, there are 3 basic decks in the world from historical perspective.
Mhm.
The Rider-Waite is the latest one. That's
Okay.
1909, 1908. The earliest is the Marseille Tarot,
Merci.
which Marseille, from the
Marseille.
town of Marseille, because at one
Okay.
point,
Gotcha.
every town in the 1400s,
Mhm.
1500s had their own version of the deck. Somebody in the town was making them, they were paper and all the rest of it. And if you look at their pictures, which I used to hate them, No, I mean, I'm very serious. There was something that was way beyond the actual 3 dimensions. They gave me the complete, something I did not like about them.
Mhm.
And they're based on very much more the pictures or the colors, if you want, of the, how do you call them? Stained glass windows of the
Mhm.
13th, 14th century. So it's a very different kind of art.
Mhm.
Also, because it's more French, the magician is le batailleur. There's a whole bunch of different things. And the actual pictures are very different. Okay, so you have that deck, and there is a one in between. The tail is the one in between. Then you have the Rider-Waite, and Rider-Waite had arguments like Freud and Carl Jung and a few other people had arguments about each other.
Mhm.
And this is where you get the Alistair Toth deck, which is the one that Tina likes, which is very energetic. If you understand energy, you will understand it better. But again, do you want to go into that route at this point in time? That's up to you. It's what works for you, which is why I like
Initially.
this particular book, the one I showed you. That's why I like it, because the whole point of it is it gives you a test for the deck.
Mhm.
Can you read it? Can you not read it? Do you want it? Do you not want it? I've done this with a lot of students, and they were surprised at how much they could get out of it. And some decks they couldn't do anything with because the decks weren't speaking to them.
Mhm.
Like any art. Because that's the whole point. The art is there for a reason. Yes, there's a structure underneath. But think about it. We all read books in any language. I mean, Russian had 33 letters. How many different ways can you put 33 letters to make a whole book? English has 26 letters. How many books have been written in English using the same elements? And I'm not talking about Chinese with 7,000 characters, where
Yeah,
each
no,
word
we
is,
don't want to go there.
or German, where you take bits. I mean, the whole sentences or the whole word is 3 lines long, as you put bits and cobble things together.
True.
It's the same thing with tarot. There is a basic.
Mhm.
And everything else after that is how you feel. Do you want to speak Thoth? Do you want to speak Rider-Waite? Or do you want to speak any of the others? Like I said, I play with my own, but I do speak Rider-Waite
Mhm.
because that's the universal one.
Yeah, I figured it was a good place to start.
Yeah. Are you very comfortable in English? You sound it.
Yeah, sure.
No, the reason I'm saying is that now more and more there are books on tarot in Russian. I've looked at them, but my Russian can be kind of a little bit scrapey, shall we put it that
Mhm.
way? It's been a long time since I've actually spoken it fluently. My grandmother died and my mother's lost her memory and whatever, so there aren't that many people to speak Russian with.
Mhm.
But French and English are useful. And especially if you have the nuances, it gives you a feel for the language that's slightly different. The more languages you speak, the more you have a better nuance for that particular, whatever it is you're using.
Right.
And this is why I'm saying you have to use your own knowledge. What is a star to you as opposed to a star to the English people? Don't forget, the star was always the North Star. When you were on a boat, how do you find your way at night?
Stars.
You follow the stars.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to remember. There's always a universal language. And this is why the tarot works. Because the universal language is there. If I tell you that somebody is a knight as opposed to a king, you already get the idea that they're somewhere lower than the king in the court system or whatever.
Mhm.
And that is part of the collective unconscious. If someone is a page, they're a learner. They're learning something. They're learning to be a knight, or so right away you understand.
That is universal.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some things that are universal that we need to understand, but it's very easy to understand. This is why I'm saying tarot is not that difficult to learn. We're overwhelmed because of the amount of books. We're overwhelmed because, oh my goodness, you're learning something different. Well, I can say art is difficult to do if I went into my headspace too, or playing an instrument, or any of the other things that Russians learn right away when they're little kids and are not, and here we don't teach them because, their brain might break. So it's understanding that we can do a lot of stuff. It's how we organize the stuff that makes it interesting. So I hope that helped you at least get organized in some way.
Absolutely. That was a lot of information.
Far too much, I know.
No, just enough for me to go and practice and start the journal.
That's the main thing.
And
yeah,
pick a card a day.
And like I said, I'm at the end of a
possible.
Facebook, like if you need, write to me through Tutarot, or you can send me an email to at mary@tutarot.ca.
Beautiful.
And
thank you so much for that.
Well, we all need our hands held when we're learning something new.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. I mean, this is why Tina and I started this, so that we can actually work what we do best. I'm a teacher, first and foremost. I mean, that's what I've done all my life. My mother used to laugh when I was 3 years old. I had little kids. I'm teaching. I'm going, right, sure, Mom, whatever. So that's what I do most. And this is why I know how to structure things without even thinking.
That's very important.
That's right. I mean, that's where you start, but
otherwise you're too overwhelmed.
Well, this is it. I mean, I found when Tina starts lecturing, we all get overwhelmed because she doesn't understand that aspect. She's enthusiastic. She's fire. She's everywhere at the same time. Which
might work for some people, actually.
Actually, it does work for some people.
Yeah, like we both said, you need to
understand
resonate.
Diversity. Yeah.
With,
whereas I'm like, she calls herself the Page of Wands or something, learning and, throwing. I'm the Queen of Swords. And even my, if I look at astrology and using tarot with astrology, I'm still the Queen of Swords. No matter which way you turn around, I'm the Queen of Swords. Don't you dare mess with me. No, but I mean, I'm also, like I was a teacher, so automatically that's a particular kind of lifestyle and a particular way of thinking. But I was a teacher before I became an official teacher. So it's not something I can change in me. It is who I am. Right. And in school, when I actually was starting to teach, chess was very important in our math program. Not anymore, don't ask. Anyways, and my job, I always thought, was to teach the kids to play chess, the rules and how you play. If you can beat me, you go to the grade 7 teacher, and he's going to teach you how to really play chess. I'm the baby steps, learn the basics and then go on. No, but I mean, in tarot, it's more difficult, or more different, I should say. It's the language, there are a lot of other things. And again,
it's not as straightforward.
Nothing is straightforward, darling, not even math. True. Not even math. So it's the way it is. But seriously, I am at the end of an email. I am at the end of Facebook, not always every day, because I've washed off Facebook for a little while. I couldn't take any more of the nonsense.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, but Messenger works, and emails always work. And with pleasure. It was so nice meeting you.
Oh, likewise.
And enjoy, because I'm seeing it's 4:00. We all have things we have to do. So enjoy, have a great time. It's a wonderful adventure. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
And, you know, like I said, with time, I'm hopefully when the weather gets a little better after all the holidays and whatever, come and visit. I'm in Hudson.
Will do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
come and visit, and then you can play in my tarot decks.
Yeah.
Like I said, this one fell into my head recently, which is based on,
That's funny.
yeah, it's based on the artwork of the 20s and the 30s.
Yeah.
You know,
Cartoons.
and that
Mhm.
I thought was fascinating, perfect for Halloween. I don't go for all the how do you call it, macabre things. I
Mhm.
tend to try to keep things light. The world is macabre enough that we don't need to add more.
Yeah.
You know, that I like aesthetics. I like things that are pleasing so that we can lighten up the world. It's too heavy. You know, and
I couldn't
that's,
agree more.
well, the more we have people that bring light, never mind the light workers and all that kind of thing, the more that we bring light to ourselves, we bring light to the world. So if we don't believe in all those little viruses in the head that drive us crazy, and we try to counteract them, that with time, like I used to say when I was working, I'm here to corrupt one child at a time. Because one child will corrupt another child, will corrupt their parents, you know, and that's the ripple effect. And at some point, it becomes a tsunami. We have to believe that, because that's what it is. You know, too many things are negative, and look at the tsunami we're living in.
Sadly, yes.
So let's change that. Let's get the sun out.
Let's do it.
See you next
And
week.
I'm just in the beginning of my journey.
You know what? You're not in the beginning of your real journey. You've been there for a while. You're just in the beginning of a new phase, a new chapter in an old book called Marina. Okay.
Thank
Take
you
it
so
easy,
much,
Marina.
Mary.
With a pleasure. I enjoyed it. I hope you will too. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.